Hey guys, my name is Kyle Brierley. I'm on Tealium's digital strategy team, and I wanted to show you a cool framework around media suppression. So one thing we'll see a lot is clients and advertisers spending a lot of money towards display programmatic retargeting, but without the right tools in place, it's hard to set up a complex audience segmentation strategy so that you're not overspending on users you shouldn't be, and in some cases, you should not be retargeting these users at all. So for this example, we'll give you a quick, easy framework to use when setting up your campaigns. And I'll say that this will apply across all vendors, not just retargeting. We can show you how Tealium's tools help you do that towards the end, but let's go ahead and get started. So what we'll start with is just your basic marketing funnel, right? Everybody's familiar with this. And so you'll see I'm leaving some room down here at the bottom. We'll go through that in a second. So let's say, switch over to black, that this is your end goal, this point right here. This is that conversion point. So whether you're an e-commerce brand trying to sell products, or you're a publisher going for white paper downloads, things like that, whatever it is, that's that point. So what we want to do, like everyone knows, is segment this out based on the level of engagement across those users. So I'll go ahead and slice this up all the way across. Boom. So as you can probably guess, lower engagement down to higher engagement. So, let's call this anonymous users that just got to your site, very little engagement. They haven't registered for anything yet, not really checking out products. Here, this is that mid-level of engagement. So there's some interest around products or a high time on site, high number of page views from these users. And we'll call this the most engaged audience. So, cart abandoners for e-commerce brands, things like that. So from this perspective, and this isn't anything, crazy or inventive, but, you want to align these segments with the amount of money that you're spending on those users, right? So over here, let's denote this. So we'll call this boom, boom. So when you go to create these segments in a tool like Tealium's Audience Stream, you'll know that across the board, no matter what platform you're using, you have an associated bid value that you want for those users. So people at the top of the funnel, you can probably afford to spend less money on, given the assumption that you don't know whether or not they're going to convert yet, right? As you work your way down towards the highest engagement, that's where you can afford to spend that money because you have a reasonably good chance of converting that user. As you move past this conversion point, so this is where that happens, a lot of times people will immediately continue to retarget these users right after they convert. And whether that's with the wrong product, whatever they just bought, which is bad, don't do that, or just too soon, right? Users need a little bit of a cool down period most times. So A, you're not wasting money on people who clearly just bought your products or clearly just downloaded. They are engaged, they know about your brand. You don't need to immediately get back in front of them. So what we like to do is call it 7 days, 14 days, depending on what you're selling or promoting, build in a cool down period right here, right? So after that conversion event, build in a time-based metric that says, okay, so for 7 days, let's remove this audience from the overall pool and then re-engage after that time period, right? And we'll add a bid value down here. I'm going to go mid value like this. And the reason I say that is because at this point, these are your customers now, right? So they know your brand, they understand what you do. You don't need to sort of re-educate them about the products that you offer. You just need to get them back when the time is right. So I would say move these back down to that mid-level. And then as they sort of express that same level of engagement, keep bumping that bid up. Another thing I want to talk about, and this is where it gets kind of cool, is a lot of people think about, okay, obviously that makes sense, bid up on valuable users, but what about non-valuable users? So that's where I like to slice the funnel right here on either side. So you get these sections on each side of potential users that you shouldn't even be spending money on, right? So maybe over here, this is people who are coming to your site, but maybe they're going to the About Us page or your store locations page or anything non-related to what you're selling or promoting. And then maybe over here, this is very low engagement. So we're talking about like high bounce rate, time on site less than 10 seconds, and maybe even people who are consistently clicking your paid ads on Google or your display ads and literally just doing nothing. Coming to the site, bouncing, coming to the site, bouncing. So this is obviously a sign of potentially fraudulent traffic that you want to avoid. But also after a certain amount of time, you can be reasonably convinced that that's maybe not a real human, or it's somebody, a competitor clicking your ad, whatever it is. So these are going to be your blacklist segments over here. So in the same way, you create a unique segment based on the engagement of the user, the recency of the user, but also stuff to blacklist across all these campaigns. So you'll see that this kind of traverses all the way down. Doesn't matter, at what stage, anything like that. If they're expressing behaviors like this across all campaigns, all vendors, you can probably afford to just exclude those users. And so at that point, that's an easy way to framework your strategy, right? So whether it's for paid search, for display, native content promotion, anything where you're spending money to get an audience or get product sales, whatever it is, this is just an easy way to framework it, right? So you've got a segment for post-purchase, highly engaged, mid-engaged, low engaged, and then 2 excluded audiences that you can remove from all campaigns. And that's basically it. This can get a lot more complex, a lot more crazy. There's obviously a lot of variables depending on the industry you're in, but it's something that we do every day at Tealium. And if you'd like to learn more about how to set this up, if it's not already, please feel free to reach out. Thanks.